Man City begin 2025 transfer planning with £25 million boosters clause triggered. Manchester City have received an early boost to their 2025 transfer planning, with a guaranteed £25 million for defender Yan Couto. Manchester City's transfer budget will be boosted by £25 million after clauses inserted into Yan Couto's loan at Borussia Dortmund were triggered to make the move permanent at the end of the season. City agreed the loan move for Brazilian Couto in the summer after a series of loan spells saw him impress away from the Etihad, most recently at Girona last season where he helped them into the Champions League. Couto, 22, signed for City from Curitiba in 2019 for an initial £5.5 million, before he spent time on loan at Girona, Braga, and then Girona again for 2 seasons. He often expressed a desire to play for City under Pep Guardiola but only managed friendly appearances during his time at the club. A switch to Dortmund was agreed in the summer with an obligation to buy depending on certain sporting requirements being met. After 7 appearances and just 3 starts, Couto is still adapting to life in the Bundesliga, but City have this week learned that the obligation to buy has now been triggered. Man City face anxious wait as Jack Grealish picks up injury doubt on England duty. Manchester City winger Jack Grealish is looking to kick on this season after re-establishing himself for the Blues and for England. Jack Grealish could miss England's Nations League fixture with Greece on Thursday after picking up an injury problem while with the Three Lions. Grealish has enjoyed a solid start to the season after spending the summer off without going to Euro 2024. He saw the start of his campaign disrupted by a minor setback, missing the first 2 games of the season, but has returned to play a part in every game since for City and England. The winger even started at Newcastle recently, less than 24 hours after his partner Sacha Atwood gave birth to their first child, but now looks set to miss England's first fixture this week as a precaution after missing training on Wednesday. Interim England boss Lee Carsley described Grealish's issue as a slight knocks before adding, "We'll assess Jack later. Our attitude would be we wouldn't gamble with any of the players. It's important we put them first rather than ourselves. They will be okay in a couple of days, so we are not going to take any gambles with them." That stance will be appreciated by Pep Guardiola, who hates for his players to pick up injuries on international duty, especially for non-competitive games. Guardiola does encourage players to take the opportunity to represent their countries when fit, but also backed Kevin De Bruyne's decision to step back from the final 2 Belgium squads of the year to prioritise his long-term fitness. England host Greece and then Finland this week, before Grealish will return to City for a favourable run of fixtures starting at Wolves next weekend. He is in competition for a left-wing spot from Phil Foden, Jeremy Doku, and Savigno at the Etihad. New Man City priority emerges as Premier League handed another major blow. All of the latest Manchester City headlines wrapped up. For anyone hoping for a quiet international break on the Manchester City front, they would have been left bitterly disappointed. Following Monday's bombshell legal win against the Premier League after a panel deemed both current and original Associated Party Transaction (APT) rules to be unlawful, further big news emerged from the Etihad Stadium on Tuesday evening. New contract priority. News broke on Tuesday night of Txiki Begiristin's intention to step down at the end of the season. It comes as no surprise to his colleagues at City, with his plans well known for a number of years. Begiristin turned 60 in August and is said to be ready for a less intensive lifestyle. His potential exit has been a very realistic possibility within the City Football Academy for some time, so City have had time to prepare a succession plan. Indeed, reports say a replacement has already been lined up and will begin work in early 2025, ensuring a transitional period to minimize the disruption of such a key figure. The natural question is how Begiristin's exit will impact Pep Guardiola's future. Given how little of a surprise the news will be inside the club, Guardiola will have been aware of his colleagues' intention throughout his decision-making process. In that respect, nothing has changed in regard to the factors Guardiola will be weighing up over his own future. Guardiola has worked without Begiristin before, too. Begiristin left Barcelona 2 years before Guardiola did, and wasn't at Bayern Munich when Guardiola was there. While City must future-proof their hierarchy for life without Guardiola, any new sporting director must surely be able to work with him should the manager be persuaded to sign an extension. For that reason, the director of football appointment is now arguably more important than Guardiola's contract. Government blow for the Premier League. The government will not step in to help the Premier League after they were proven to have acted unlawfully and discriminatory this week in a landmark court defeat. Manchester City challenged the Premier League over their associated party transaction rules, and were victorious in front of an independent tribunal, who found the rules were unlawful, discriminatory, and went against UK competition law. The verdict also said the Premier League abused its dominant position, and while it supported the need for APT rules, it ruled that they must be changed in their current form. In response, Culture Secretary has refused to back the Premier League, telling it to sort out the problems as it presses ahead with introducing an independent regulator. The Premier League have opposed the concept of such a regulator, although this week's verdict highlighted the need for one. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy, whose remit covers sport, was speaking on Sky News on Wednesday, and she offered a blunt response to the City verdict: resolve it yourself. I think there have been lots of issues in football, but the biggest issue that the government is involved with is the issue about sustainability, she said. The question of the Premier League is a matter for the Premier League and for the clubs to resolve amongst themselves. What I'm really focused on is making sure that we have a sustainable, fair game from the Premier League, which is a great British export, and it brings great joy to people, all the way through the championship clubs to the grassroots. That's why we're introducing the independent football regulator through legislation, which we announced in the King's Speech. I'm really excited to say that we'll be introducing that very shortly. Holland shows true colours. Just as if he was facing a Premier League defence, Erling Haaland took no prisoners when he made a rare press conference appearance on Wednesday. Away from Manchester City, Haaland has been appointed Norway captain for this week's fixtures in the absence of Arsenal midfielder Martin Odegaard. He said he would simply be himself when wearing the armband in a straight-to-the-point response that set the tone for a box office half-hour in front of the cameras. Haaland doesn't like press conferences. He has enough media commitments by virtue of being one of the world's best players. He has only faced the written media 3 times during his time at City. Don't forget to subscribe in our channel and press the like button for support us. CYA on next videos.